Acid rain has destroyed the entire world and is trying to figure out the way to escape. But there is no route because it's dead-end. The movie opens up with a tragic accident. After an accident in which several workers were seriously hurt, the workers swarmed into the boss's office to demand justice because their boss wouldn't take responsibility. As quickly as it starts, the workers start breaking down everything they can find. People who work there push the cops when they finally show up, and Mikkel jumps on one of them and starts beating him up. It doesn't take long for more police to arrive and arrest him. The video of Mikkel's arrest is still online, and teens like to laugh at it. This makes Mikkel's daughter Selma angry, so she gets some horse poop and rubs it on the face of a friend. Elise, Selma's mother, no longer knows what to do after talking to the headmaster. Selma has been acting out since her parents split up, and Mikkel was sent to jail, but was recently released with an ankle watch. When Selma is with her dad one night, she watches the news and learns that thousands of wild animals have died in Latin America because of rain that is 1,000 times more acidic than usual. Scientists think this rain will soon reach the northern hemisphere because of pollution and climate change. The next day it rains hard, and Elise realizes that Selma left her room's window open. To deal with the water, she puts a towel on the floor. She then falls asleep on her daughter's bed and doesn't wake up until the towel starts to fade. People pay close attention to the news because rain keeps showing up in different parts of the country the next day. Even though it doesn't rain, Mikkel sees at work that the ground isn't quite right when it's wet. Elise calls him at that very moment. She wants to pick up Selma early from school because she's afraid of the rain. Mikkel will have to drive her since her car is in the shed. When they get to school, though, they find that the class has gone horseback riding and the kids forgot their phones. To find Selma, they take the road that leads to the forest. But a bunch of parents have thought of the same thing, and there's a traffic jam that stops them. It's already getting dark above the forest, so Mikkel drives off the road in a panic to find his daughter. Also, Selma isn't very good at riding, so she's stuck in the bush while her friends move forward. Some raindrops fall, setting the ground on fire and hurting the horses. The horses run away in fear, which causes Selma to trip and fall. After getting close to the forest, Mikkel and Elise see that the car can't get through. Mikkel gets out of the car and continues on foot, first looking in the barns where the horses are acting crazy. Another person running to Selma. She finally gets back and meets her father when he comes out. They move quickly and get into the training room just before it starts to rain. Some of the drops hit the ground and burn it through the holes in the roof. Mikkel looks for blankets for them to hide under while he calls Elise to let her know where they are, even though it's hard for Elise to see while driving in the heavy rain. She finds the building and parks outside so that Mikkel and Selma can get in. When they get back to the road, they can hear people screaming because the acid rain hurt them. In the end, they find that the road is stopped again. They can't go back because cars are lining up behind them, and the paint on all of them is melting. When Elise sees a gap in the traffic, she takes a turn to the right, but she gets stuck in a different part of the jam. Some people can now pull on their doors, and one guy with a badly hurt face even gets in. But Mikkel kicks him out right away and makes sure the doors are locked properly. Then Elise sees another gap in the road and speeds up again, this time pushing a bunch of cars out of the way. As she watches the paint on the roof change colors, Selma can't take the stress any longer and breaks down. Soon after, the rain stops, and the area is full of people and things that have been melted by the acid. The family pulls over in front of a grocery store and gets a bunch of clothes and blankets to cover themselves in the car. Elise calls his brother at work, but the roads are stopped and he can't come with them. Mikkel tries to call his girlfriend but only gets a message. The family goes off for the next few hours. They want to leave the country, which is something a lot of people are trying to do. At night, the acid damage finally stops the car from running, and the back door gets stuck. Mikkel kicks it a few times to open it, and he tells Selma not to breathe in case acid drops on her. After that, the family just walks around until they come across an empty building. Mikkel checks to see if anyone else is in the room and is shocked to see that it's set up for a party that was never going to happen. One of the thieves is a cat. Selma wants to pet it, but Elise stops her because the cat's fur might have acid on it. Mikkel finally gets through to his girlfriend and makes sure she's okay, but the signal goes out quickly. They don't know if the running water is safe, so Mikkel puts some in a bowl and leaves it for the cat to check out. Selma gets mad that the poor animal was treated that way, and dumps the bowl right away in the sink. Elise did find some water in a bottle and gave it to Selma. Then, to protect their feet even more, they use paper trays and tape. The bowl looks like it's melted after a few minutes, which means the tap water isn't safe. They eat party food and drink because that's all that's in the fridge for dinner. Selma is scared because she doesn't think they can make it on foot. and her parents get into a fight when they try to talk about their ideas. Someone told them to stop yelling, but they didn't hear. Mikkel gets so mad that he breaks a glass and leaves the room. After dinner, they go to sleep, but they can hear rain falling through roof cracks. Selma can't sleep, so she goes to look for the cat. She follows a trail of blood to where the poor cat is dead. Selma is upset, so she goes back and lies down with her mom to feel better. The family goes back to the road the next morning. The rain has stopped for now, and many other people are also walking to leave the country. As the hours go by, more and more people show up. When they finally find the bridge, dozens of people and cars are stuck. It turns out that the cops are blocking the road and only let small groups of people through every few minutes to keep everyone safe. The crowd doesn't care and keeps pushing each other, which makes Elise break up with her family. When the cops finally let another small group go, they push Elise forward too. The police don't care that her family is out there, so they tell her to keep going. She finds a big hole in the middle of the bridge as she crosses it, which explains why the cops were acting that way. The crowd is getting stronger all the time, and Selma is almost crushed. To get the crowd to stop, the cops have to use tear gas. When the group looks up, they see that the bridge is falling apart. At that moment, the bridge made a strange sound. A few people are killed right away by the falling debris, and the rest of the crowd starts running back. But the people in front of them haven't caught on yet, and they're still trying to cross, which makes the two groups fight. Elise tries to get to her family but gets stuck among the people pushing each other. The chaos makes the fence break. Some people fall into the water, and Elise is one of them. The acid makes her skin burn right away. When Selma sees this, she jumps off the bridge and runs to the shore to save her mother. But Mikkel chases her and stops her just before she hits the water. Now they have to cry as they watch Elise's body float away. The bridge is no longer used, so the police take the rest of the crowd to a military station. The brother of Elise won't answer the phone when Mikkel calls his girlfriend. The crowd is then split up into different military trucks, where they share the small bottles of water they bring with them for the trip. When the trucks finally get to where the road is blocked, the troops make everyone get out of the cars and walk to the next area. They use red smoke as a signal to make sure no one gets lost. They see dark clouds coming along at that moment, so they start running as fast as they can. Because Selma is weak and trips over things, Mikkel has to help her up and hold her up as they walk. They miss the group because of the delay, but Mikkel finds a nearby tunnel and quickly clears it of all the dirt, and leaves so they have enough room to hide before the storm. As it rains, some of it gets into the tunnel and melts the dirt, so Mikkel and Selma have to keep going even though it's dark. Mikkel finally trips and falls, which makes him bleed from the acidic air. Soon after, they finally find the way out of the cave. It is no longer raining, but Mikkel can't call for help because his phone is dead. The two keep driving for hours and finally find a few houses. But Mikkel keeps knocking and no one answers. He finally passes out on the ground from being so tired and hurt, so Selma screams for help in the middle of the street. Before Mikkel wakes up, he finds himself in one of Deborah and her son's homes. Deborah lets them have some of her water and clean clothes, but she won't let them have her food because she only has enough for herself and the boy. As Selma looks around the house, she comes across a room that is stained with acid and has a strange machine that is covered in plastic. She's about to touch it, but Deborah stops her and says it's important for her son's dialysis. She asks Mikkel to help her bring the machine downstairs so the boy won't have to touch the acid. Deborah is so thankful for them that she agrees to let them stay the night and share some food with them. After getting an axe from a neighbor, Mikkel tries to break into his house, but it's getting dark, so he has to hurry back before he can do anything. There's a big storm outside, and Deborah knows the house can't hold up. She has to make a tough choice. Mikkel chooses to sleep in the garage instead of a room to keep himself and Selma safe. Once they are settled in, Deborah locks their door behind their backs. She then lies down with her son and sings him to sleep while she waits for the show to end. Soon, a lot of places in the house will start to melt, especially the water faucets. The paint on the walls looks like blood, and awful smoke starts to come out of the heater. They wake up to the sound of the house falling apart. When they go to check on their hosts, the door is locked. The top floor finally falls apart when the poisonous fumes reach Deborah and the boy. Mikkel has to pull Selma away from the door while she yells the boys' names. She doesn't want to leave their new friends behind, but Mikkel just shoves her into Deborah's car, opens the garage door, and drives off. It's very dark outside, and Mikkel does his best to drive quickly with only the front lights to help him. The car is electric, and the computer voice keeps saying that the systems are failing to the point where the riders have to stop the car for their own safety. That's all Mikkel has to do to get it to work again. He then keeps driving without any plans. After hours of no rain, they come across more open fields and Mikkel stops the car. He gets angry when Selma tries to get him to accept he's lost. He yells at her and then gets out of the car. Soon, Mikkel's leg starts to hurt, so he goes back to the car but finds Selma gone. She wants to get away, but the ground is on fire, so she climbs on top of something that is sinking. Mikkel drives toward her when he hears her scream, but the car starts to sink in the mud, so he has to keep going on foot. He just makes it in time to pick up Selma and carries her on his back, which means that as he moves, his legs get very hot. They get back to the car and climb on top of it, where Mikkel passes out. When Selma wakes up the next morning to the sound of a truck, she finds that the military has come to save them. They are taken to a safe place where Mikkel can get medical care while Selma asks about her uncle. The shelter database doesn't have his name in it, but it does have the name of Mikkel's dead girlfriend. Selma gives her dad comfort when she finally gets to see him and chooses not to tell him the bad news yet. To watch more interesting videos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.